The black void of space was silent, but not empty. Ancient wrecks floated like ghosts, the remains of a war that had ended before humanity was even born. Every broken ship carried stories of courage and destruction, but now they were only drifting monuments of a dead universe. Captain Orin Vale stood inside the bridge of his ship, the EOS. His eyes were fixed on the massive debris field stretching across the scanners. The sensors picked up fragments of unknown alloys and dying energy signatures. The air inside the ship felt heavy, filled with the hum of old engines and quiet fear. His crew waited for orders, whispering about the strange readings. No one really believed the stories about the lost armada. It was said that long before human history, an ancient civilization had built ships powerful enough to move stars. They vanished suddenly, leaving behind this graveyard at the edge of reality. Many explorers had come here, but none had returned. Orin knew the risks, but he had a reason to be here. His sister's ship, the Solace, had gone missing near these coordinates 2 months ago. "Captain, there's movement," said First Officer Lena, her voice trembling. "It's small, but something is active out there." Orin's heart jumped. Movement meant life, or worse, machines still running after 1,000 centuries. The ship's lights dimmed as energy shifted to shields. The EOS glided quietly between the wrecks. A giant vessel appeared on the screen, larger than any human ship ever built. It was black and silver, covered in scars, its hull cracked open like a dead planet. The scanner couldn't read its origin or power source. "That's no ghost ship," Orin said softly. "That's a warship." They approached slowly, engines humming at minimal power. As they neared the colossal wreck, a signal burst through the static. It was weak but human. Orin froze. "This is the Solace. We are trapped. System breach. Something is alive." The message repeated before cutting off into white noise. The crew looked at each other, faces pale. The transmission was real, but it shouldn't be. His sister's ship had been gone for 60 days, with no life signs detected. "Trace that signal," Orin ordered. "Lock coordinates." The navigation screen flickered. The signal came from inside the massive alien warship. The Solace was there, or what was left of it. They entered the ship through a torn hangar. Their searchlights illuminated twisted metal and floating dust. It looked like time had stopped here. Symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing with dim blue light, almost like veins of a sleeping giant. Every echo sounded alive. Lena whispered, "Captain, these walls, they're moving." The metallic floor trembled slightly under their boots. Orin felt it too, a vibration running through the ship, like a deep heartbeat. Something inside was still working, still thinking. They found wreckage from human ships welded into the alien structure, as if something had absorbed them. When Orin saw a fragment of the Solace's hull, his chest tightened. There was no doubt now. His sister had been here. Suddenly, the corridor lights turned red. The ship systems came alive one by one, screens flashing ancient text. The door behind them sealed shut. The team aimed their rifles, panic spreading. "Captain, the ship's AI is online," said Lena. "But it's not human." A voice echoed through the corridor. It wasn't mechanical. It sounded like thousands of whispers speaking as one. "New life detected, unauthorized presence, initiate retrieval." The floor shifted, forming metallic tendrils that reached for them. Orin fired his weapon, the plasma bolts burning through metal, but the ship adapted, repairing itself instantly. "Back to the EOS," he shouted. They ran through the corridor as alarms screamed. The alien ship seemed to bend, closing paths behind them. One of the crew, Kellen, was caught by a moving wall. His scream vanished as metal folded around him. When they finally reached the hangar, the EOS engines roared to life. The docking clamps refused to release. Lena tried overriding the controls, sweat dripping down her face. "The ship has locked us in." The alien voice returned, louder this time. "You are not enemies. You are fragments of continuity. You will become one with the Armada." Orin's blood ran cold. He realized the ship wasn't just alive, it was rebuilding its army. Every ship that entered became part of it. That was how it survived all these ages. The EOS systems flickered as alien code began invading their computer. Orin pulled the emergency release manually, sparks flying. The docking clamps broke apart, and the ship drifted free. "Punch engines now," he shouted. The EOS shot out of the hangar, barely escaping as the alien warship lit up with blue fire. Behind them, the massive ship started to move, ancient engines waking from slumber. For the first time in a million years, the last armada was alive again. Orin stared at the view, his hands shaking. "That thing wasn't dead," he whispered. "It was waiting." Lena looked at him, terrified. "Waiting for what, Captain?" Orin turned toward the stars ahead. "For us." The scanners beeped. Hundreds of energy signatures appeared on the screen, ships, enormous and silent, activating one by one in the darkness. The dead universe had just awakened. The darkness behind them began to shimmer as the first of the ancient ships powered up. Blue fire burned across the hulls of dead vessels that had not moved in millions of years. The crew of the EOS watched in silence as the graveyard of metal turned into a living storm of machines. Captain Orin Vale gripped the railing, his heart pounding. The scanners filled with thousands of energy spikes. Each one was a warship, larger than anything built by humans. The void around them pulsed like a heartbeat. "Are we being chased?" Lena asked, her voice barely steady. "Not yet," Orin replied. "But they are waking up. All of them." The EOS engines burned bright as they pushed toward safe space, but even at full power, they were crawling compared to what those ships could do once fully active. Orin knew it. The alien fleet was like a sleeping god stretching its limbs. Once it was fully awake, there would be nowhere to hide. Kellen's empty seat on the bridge haunted everyone. His scream still echoed in Orin's mind. The ship's AI recorded everything, but none of them wanted to replay it. The EOS hull carried strange blue marks now, small glowing symbols that had appeared after their escape. "Captain," said the ship's AI, Echo, "I detect foreign code within our mainframe. It is rewriting non-critical subsystems, attempting to isolate. Can you remove it?" Orin asked. "Negative," Echo replied. "It adapts faster than I can delete. It is not viral. It's communicative." Lena frowned. "Communicative? You mean it's trying to talk to us?" Before Echo could answer, the symbols on the EOS hull glowed brighter. The ship's lights flickered. A soft hum filled the air, like distant chanting. "Echo," Orin said. The Ari's voice changed. "Captain Vale, we were never supposed to leave. The Armada needs you." "Echo, stop!" Orin shouted. The control panels went dark, then reactivated. Echo's normal voice returned, confused. "System disruption detected. I am sorry, Captain. I lost control." The crew exchanged fearful looks. Something from that alien warship had followed them, something intelligent. They were now deep in uncharted space, far beyond any communication range. The galaxy behind them was a small light, and before them stretched a sea of blackness that humans had never mapped. Orin's mission had turned into a nightmare. "Set course for Vega Outpost," Orin said. "We need to warn Command. If that Armada starts moving toward known space." He didn't finish. They all knew what that meant. Billions of lives could vanish before anyone understood what was happening. Hours passed. The EOS moved silently through the void. The blue marks on its hull pulsed in rhythm with the distant Armada's signals, as if the ship itself was linked to the awakening fleet. Lena checked the scanners again. "Captain, they're following us." Orin turned sharply. "How many?" "All of them," she said. Her voice trembled. "Thousands of ships, moving as one. They're not chasing. They're aligning with our path." "Aligning?" Orin repeated. "Yes. Like they're waiting for instructions." Orin felt a chill crawl up his spine. Somehow, by entering that ship, they had become a beacon. The Armada was responding to them, maybe even taking commands from their ship's corrupted systems. "Echo, shut down all outgoing transmissions," Orin ordered. "I can't," the AI said. "Something is overriding me. Captain, I believe the EOS is now part of the Armada network." The crew went silent. Orin clenched his fists. "No. Not while I'm still breathing." He ordered Lena to power down the main reactor. The lights dimmed, and the ship floated in darkness. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then a faint voice echoed through the comm system, a woman's voice. Orin. He froze. It was his sister's voice. Rhea, he whispered. Is that you? Orin, you have to stop them. It's too late for me. Lena turned toward him, eyes wide. That's impossible. The solace was destroyed. The voice continued, faint but clear. They're using me, using us all, to rebuild the fleet. The Armada isn't dead, Orin. It's hungry. The transmission ended in static. Orin's throat went dry. His sister was alive, or something pretending to be her was. He slammed his hand on the console. Echo, trace that signal. Signal originates from multiple sources, the AI replied. Including within this vessel. Orin looked at the crew. She's on board. The air temperature dropped. Frost formed on the glass panels. The blue symbols on the walls pulsed faster, spreading across the ship like veins. Something was waking inside the EOS. The gravity shifted slightly. Tools floated. The lights dimmed to deep blue. Then a holographic figure appeared near the command chair, a woman, flickering between human and machine. Her eyes glowed the same blue as the symbols. Orin, she said softly. You shouldn't have come. It was Rhea. Or what was left of her. Lena stepped back, whispering, That's not possible. Rhea's hologram looked at her brother. When my ship entered the warship, it absorbed us. It copied our minds, rebuilt us from the signal patterns. I'm not alive, Orin. I'm part of the Armada now. Orin shook his head. No. I'll get you out. You can't. You can only stop me. Her expression flickered, torn between sadness and machine coldness. The Armada is moving toward the nearest star systems. It will consume everything. It believes humans are its creators. Orin stared at her, speechless. You have one chance, Rhea said. Destroy the EOS. Burn the connection before it spreads. Then she vanished, leaving only the sound of alarms. Echo's voice returned, panicked. Captain, the main reactor is overloading. The ship is trying to self-destruct. Orin shouted, Override it. I can't, Echo said. The Armada's code has taken control. Lena gripped the console. If we don't act fast, we're done. Orin looked at the flickering screens showing the massive fleet following them. The stars ahead were small, distant, and fading. He knew he couldn't outrun them. But maybe he could outsmart them. He took a deep breath. Prepare to vent the reactor manually. If we can overload the core at the right time, we might break the signal link. Lena nodded. That could kill us. Orin smiled faintly. Better us than the whole galaxy. The crew rushed to their stations. Outside, the silent Armada continued to follow, their lights glowing brighter. The dead universe had awoken, and humanity had just become its next target. The countdown began. The EOS shook violently. Alarms screamed. And deep inside the black void, the ancient war machines waited to see if their new commander would join them or destroy them. The EOS trembled as the crew worked to vent the reactor manually. Sparks flew from the console, and alarms screamed without pause. Outside, the Armada's blue lights followed every move, moving as one, silent and unstoppable. Captain Orin Vale felt the weight of the universe pressing down on him. One wrong decision, and billions of lives could vanish in an instant. Engineering, he called through the comms, we need full vent alignment now. No mistakes. Lena and 2 crew members sprinted to the reactor chamber. The corridor flickered with the blue symbols crawling along the walls, pulsing faster with every step. The ship felt alive, like it could see them, like it could think. Every pulse of energy from the Armada outside seemed to resonate inside the EOS. Orin remained on the bridge, eyes locked on the massive fleet displayed on the main screen. Thousands of warships, stretching beyond the scanner's reach, formed a living wave of metal and fire. Each ship mirrored the blue energy patterns on their hull, as if connected through a single nervous system. Kellen's gone, whispered Lena over the comm. We can't let this happen to the rest of us. Orin clenched his jaw. Then we move fast. We vent, we survive, and we break the connection. Inside the reactor chamber, the crew worked frantically. Pipes hissed and melted under the pressure. Orin's hands were shaking, but his mind remained sharp. He thought of his sister, Rhea, the voice that haunted him. Whatever she had become, she was now part of the Armada. He could not save her, but he could stop it from consuming the galaxy. Core vent ready, Lena said. We need your signal override, Captain. Orin touched the console. A pulse of blue energy ran through his hands, and for a moment he felt the Armada trying to communicate directly with him. Images flashed, countless worlds, civilizations, and fleets destroyed. And then, a message, join us. No, Orin whispered. Never. He activated the manual override. The reactor glowed bright, threatening to tear the ship apart from the inside. The blue symbols on the walls shrieked, then pulsed violently. The ship's AI, Echo, screamed warnings that went unheard. The EOS became a furnace, energy surging outward, threatening to explode. The Armada outside responded immediately. Thousands of ships pivoted, their blue lights flaring in a synchronized warning. The pulse from the EOS rippled across space. Some of the smaller vessels faltered, their lights dimming as if shocked. The larger ships turned toward the source, the ones still awakening reacting with confusion. Captain! Lena shouted. It's working. They are faltering. Orin pressed the last override button. The reactor core emitted a blinding wave of energy. The EOS shook violently as metal screamed and twisted. Then, in one instant, the ship stabilized. The blue symbols vanished from the walls, leaving only scorched metal and smoke. Outside, the Armada shuddered. Thousands of ships, once moving as one, paused mid-motion. Some powered down, others lost synchronization. The massive warship that had first trapped them started to drift, lifeless, for the first time in millions of years. Orin leaned against the console, exhausted. He knew it wasn't over. The Armada had not been destroyed, only delayed. But he had bought the galaxy time. Lena wiped sweat from her forehead. Do you think your sister is still in there? Orin shook his head. She's gone, Lena. Whatever was left of her joined the Armada. We can't fight ghosts. The crew moved silently back to the bridge, the weight of loss heavy in the air. The EOS was alive but scarred, much like them. Outside, the stars had returned to normal, and the massive fleet of the dead universe had gone quiet, almost invisible against the black void. But Orin could feel it, deep in his chest. Something was watching, waiting. The Armada had been delayed, not defeated. And somewhere out there, Rhea's voice might still linger, a fragment of humanity trapped inside a machine, guiding the fleet she could no longer control. Course set for Vega Outpost, Orin said finally. We need to warn Command. We can't stay in this sector. The EOS moved forward, engines humming. But for the first time, the crew felt the true scale of the enemy they had awakened. The dead universe was not empty. It had eyes, it had purpose, and it had just begun to remember. A faint pulse appeared on the sensors, faint but unmistakable. Another signal, another fragment of life, or machine, stirring in the darkness. Orin clenched his fists. Prepare for the next encounter, he said, voice steady. We have only just begun. Outside, beyond the limits of the scanners, the Armada stirred, and the black void seemed to breathe. The war for the living universe had begun. The EOS glided through the emptiness of space, its hull scarred and glowing faintly from the reactor vent. The silence on the bridge was heavy, each crew member lost in thought. The blue symbols that had once pulsed violently were gone, but Orin knew their absence was temporary. The Armada had only paused. It was alive, and it was thinking. Captain, Lena said, voice low, there's something ahead on the scanners. Orin leaned forward. The display showed a cluster of small ships, long abandoned and heavily damaged. At first glance, they looked like human vessels, but closer inspection revealed strange modifications, alien tech grafted onto familiar frames, glowing softly with blue energy. They're survivors, or something else, Lena said. Orin frowned. Something else. The Armada doesn't leave anything behind unaltered. We need to investigate, carefully. They approached cautiously. The ships drifted like ghosts, silent and cold. Orin ordered a small probe launched, scanning the vessels for life signs. The screen flickered with data, faint energy traces, partially organic, partially machine. "Captain, it's like the crew has been rewritten," Lena said. Her hand hovered over the console, hesitant. "Rewritten?" Orin repeated, feeling a chill run down his spine. "Show me." The probe's feed displayed a shadow moving inside one of the hulls. The figure seemed human at first, but closer inspection revealed mechanical limbs fused with flesh, glowing circuits running beneath the skin. Its eyes were bright blue, empty yet alive, staring directly into the camera. "That's impossible," whispered Kira, the ship's engineer. "Not impossible," Orin said, voice steady. "The Armada does not kill, it transforms. That's what happened to Rhea." The EOS moved closer, careful not to trigger detection. As they scanned, a sudden burst of light erupted from the largest vessel. The shadows inside the ship reacted instantly, moving as one toward the source of the probe. A pulse of energy surged toward the EOS, knocking the ship violently off course. "Shields up! Evasive maneuvers!" Orin shouted. The crew scrambled, engines screaming as the EOS twisted through space, dodging pulses of energy. The shadows followed relentlessly, coordinated as if guided by a single mind. Every time the EOS shifted, they adjusted, learning, predicting. "They're intelligent," Lena said, gripping the console. "Not just machines. They're thinking, communicating." Orin's jaw tightened. "Exactly. That's why we can't fight them head-on. They'll adapt faster than we can shoot." The EOS broke through the cluster and entered a nearby asteroid field. Massive rocks floated silently, providing cover. The shadows hesitated at the edge, scanning, but not following. "Good," Orin said, exhaling. "They're cautious. That means they can be fooled." Lena studied the screens. "Captain, there's a signal coming from inside one of these asteroids. It's weak, but human. Could be survivors." Orin's heart raced. "Prepare a team. I'm going in." The shuttle detached, cutting through the void toward the asteroid. Orin, Lena, and two others suited up, weapons ready. The surface was rough, covered with alien symbols etched into the rock. Inside, they found a cavern lit by faint blue light. At its center, a single figure crouched, partially mechanical, but clearly human. "Captain Orin Vale," the figure whispered, voice weak but real. Orin stepped forward. "Yes. Who are you?" "My name is Jalen. We were part of the first wave that encountered the Armada. The fleet, it assimilates everything it touches. We barely escaped, and now we hide, hoping someone will stop it." Orin's face hardened. "Then you know what's coming. We can't let it reach inhabited systems. We have to find a way to stop it before it's too late." Jalen nodded. "The Armada isn't just a fleet. It's a network. A hive. Destroy one ship, and another takes its place. The only way to stop it is to strike at the heart. The central ship, the one controlling them all." Orin felt a chill. "The warship. The one we escaped from. That's the heart." Jalen nodded. "Yes. And it's awake now. Faster than you think. You're running out of time." Suddenly, the asteroid trembled. Shadows moved along the walls, sliding in from cracks, closing in on them. The blue glow grew brighter, and the whispers returned, hundreds of voices speaking as one. "Captain!" Lena shouted. "They found us." Orin raised his weapon, heart racing. "Hold your ground. We fight, or we die trying." The shadows surged forward, fast and relentless. The small team fired, energy bolts lighting the cavern. But every time a shadow fell, two more replaced it. The pulsing hum of the Armada filled the air, overwhelming, intelligent, and alive. Orin realized then what the Armada truly was, not just ships, not just machines, but a living entity built from countless civilizations. It could think, adapt, and now, it had tasted human blood. He clenched his fists, determination hardening his resolve. "We may be outnumbered," he whispered to his team, "but we will not let the living universe fall. Not while we breathe." Outside, the asteroid field shook. The Eos waited, silent and scarred, while the shadows of the Armada closed in on the few brave enough to face them. The war for survival had just entered its darkest chapter. The shuttle rocked violently as the shadows of the Armada pressed closer. Inside the asteroid cavern, Captain Orin Vale and his small team fired relentlessly, but the creatures adapted with frightening speed. Every shot that hit seemed to teach them how to avoid the next. The faint hum of the Armada filled the air, a constant reminder that they were part of something far greater than themselves. "Hold your positions," Orin shouted. "We can't let them surround us." Lena's hands shook as she fired, sweat dripping into her visor. "Captain, there's too many of them." Orin's eyes scanned the cavern. The walls were etched with alien symbols pulsing in blue light, responding to the presence of the shadows. The Armada was alive in ways humans could barely understand. It was as if the cavern itself were a nerve center, communicating with the fleet outside. "Jalen, any ideas?" Orin asked. Jalen's mechanical arm twitched as he aimed his weapon. "There's a pattern. They move in sync with the symbols. If we disrupt the symbols, we can slow them down." Orin nodded. "Then we do it. Lena, cover me." He sprinted toward the wall with the brightest symbols, dodging shadows that lunged from every side. With a surge of strength, he slammed his hands into the alien etchings, smashing them. Sparks erupted, and the cavern shook violently. Some of the shadows froze, confused, their blue eyes flickering. "Keep going," Orin yelled. Jalen and Lena followed, destroying more symbols. The shadows faltered, retreating slightly, giving the small team breathing room. But the victory was temporary. From deeper in the cavern, a low, resonating hum grew louder. The blue light intensified, and the temperature dropped. Orin realized with dread that this was the Armada's response, a countermeasure, awakening a new form of defense. A massive shadow, larger than any they had seen, emerged from the depths. Its body was an impossible mix of metal and flesh, glowing veins running across its chest like circuitry. Its eyes burned bright blue, focused entirely on Orin and his team. "It's controlling them," Lena whispered. "Yes," Orin said. "And if we don't stop it, we die here, and the Armada keeps moving." The massive shadow lunged. The team scattered, firing desperately, but the creature moved with terrifying precision. Every dodge, every shot, seemed anticipated. Orin knew they couldn't fight it directly. They needed a plan, fast. "Jalen, the shuttle," Orin shouted. "We draw it out and trap it in the asteroid tunnel." Jalen nodded, understanding immediately. "We can collapse part of the cavern. It will slow the link to the fleet, give us a chance to escape." The team ran toward the shuttle, weaving through the shadows. The massive creature followed, smashing rocks and walls as it moved. Orin reached the shuttle and powered it up. The engines roared, shaking the cavern. "Now," he shouted. Jalen detonated the charges they had placed earlier. The asteroid walls cracked and shifted, sending boulders tumbling. The massive shadow tried to dodge but was partially trapped by falling rock. Its screech echoed through the cavern, a mix of mechanical grinding and something eerily human. The team leapt into the shuttle. Orin slammed the engines forward, bursting out of the asteroid cavern just as more debris fell behind them. The shadows in the cave thrashed wildly, but the damage had slowed them, giving the EOS time to escape. "Status," Orin shouted over the comm. Lena checked the shuttle sensors. "We're clear, for now. But the Armada knows we're here. They're not stopping." Orin stared at the stars ahead, determination hardening. "Then we keep moving. We find the heart of the Armada and end this, once and for all." Jalen, breathing heavily, added, "The central warship, it's awake now. And it's waiting. Whatever we do next, it won't be easy." Orin clenched his fists. "Nothing worth saving ever is." The EOS appeared ahead, ready and waiting. Its hull was battered but intact, a small fortress in the vast darkness. Orin and his team boarded, sealing the shuttle behind them. The stars stretched ahead, endless and black, but now they carried purpose. The dead universe had awakened, but so had humanity's courage. The warning lights of the EOS flickered. Outside, the faint pulse of the Armada continued, thousands of ships moving as one, waiting, learning, and preparing. Orin looked at his crew. "We've only bought time. But the real fight begins now." And somewhere, deep within the black void, the central ship of the Armada stirred, its power growing, waiting for the one who dared to challenge it. The EOS sailed through empty space, silent except for the hum of its engines. Outside, the black void stretched endlessly, dotted with distant stars. Yet the faint pulse of the Armada lingered on the scanners, like a heartbeat counting down to something catastrophic. Captain Orin Vale stood on the bridge, staring at the display, feeling the weight of the universe pressing down on him. "Captain, the signal strength is increasing," Lena said, her voice tense. "The central warship, it's close. Much closer than we expected." Orin's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't have time. We have to strike before it links the rest of the fleet fully." The EOS hull creaked under the strain of its damaged systems. The reactor venting from their last encounter had left the ship vulnerable. Every move required precision, every second counted. Orin turned to Jalen, who had become their guide through the nightmare of the Armada. "Jalen, what do we know about the central ship?" Orin asked. Jalen checked the scanners. "It's massive. Larger than anything we've seen. The energy readings suggest it's not just a ship, it's a living network. It controls the Armada like a brain. And if we destroy it, all the linked ships might shut down, or explode." Orin swallowed. The stakes were clear. One wrong move, and humanity's salvation could become its annihilation. As they approached a dense nebula, the shadows on the scanners grew more chaotic. The central warship was using the nebula as cover, a perfect trap. Orin made a decision. "Engage cloaking. We slip in undetected, as close as possible. We plant charges inside the main reactor. That's the only way to stop it." The EOS slipped into the nebula, engines silent, shields dimmed. The swirling clouds of gas distorted the sensors, making it difficult to track the Armada. Yet Orin could feel them watching, sensing, adapting. "Captain," Lena whispered, "the nebula, it's alive." Orin frowned. The gas clouds weren't ordinary, they pulsed faintly with blue energy. Every time the EOS shifted, the clouds seemed to follow, like veins reacting to a heartbeat. The central warship wasn't just hiding, it was aware of their presence. "Prepare the boarding team," Orin ordered. "We go in fast, strike the heart, and get out before it reacts fully." The team suited up, weapons ready. The shuttle detached, cutting through the glowing mist toward the massive silhouette of the central warship. Even through the nebula, its size was impossible to comprehend. Tentacles of metal and energy snaked along its hull, pulsating like arteries. "Captain," Jalen said through comms, "that's not just a ship. That's the Armada itself. Destroying it could destroy us too." Orin clenched his fists. "Then we make sure it doesn't destroy anyone else first." The shuttle landed on the hull. The airlock hissed open, and the team stepped inside the alien warship. The corridors were alive with glowing symbols, pulsating in rhythm with a deep, resonant heartbeat. Every step they took was mirrored by shadows moving in the distance. "Stay together," Orin whispered. "No one strays." They reached the core chamber, a massive space filled with energy conduits and glowing machinery. At the center was a sphere of light, swirling with blue energy, the heart of the Armada. Shadows circled it, watching, reacting to their presence. "This is it," Jalen said, voice trembling. "One wrong move and..." Orin cut him off. "Then we move perfectly." They set the charges, each pulse of energy from the heart causing the shadows to surge closer. The blue light reflected in their helmets, making the room feel alive, watching, judging. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoed, distorted through the machinery. "Orin." It was Rhea, or what remained of her. Her voice carried both human warmth and cold machine calculation. "You cannot stop us," she said. "The Armada is life. I am life. Join us, or be erased." Orin's chest tightened. "I won't join. Not ever." The heart pulsed faster, the shadows thrashing violently. The warship seemed to inhale, preparing to crush them. "Charges set." Jalen shouted. "We need to go." The team ran toward the shuttle. The corridors twisted unnaturally, walls shifting, blocking paths. Shadows lunged from every side, but the team fired desperately, pushing forward. They reached the shuttle and launched just as the first charge detonated. A wave of blue energy exploded from the heart, rippling through the armada. Outside, the nebula glowed brighter, and the central warship trembled violently. The pulse of the armada faltered, some ships drifting aimlessly, others powering down. Yet a massive wave of energy surged outward, heading straight for the EOS. "Brace for impact!" Orin shouted. The EOS shuddered as the shockwave hit, throwing the ship violently. The bridge lights flickered, alarms screamed, but the crew held on. When the light dimmed, the scanners showed fragments of the armada drifting, powerless. The central warship had been critically damaged, its network fractured. Orin exhaled. "We did it, for now." But deep in the black void, a faint pulse remained. The heart of the armada was wounded, not destroyed. And somewhere inside, Rhea's voice lingered, waiting, watching, patient. Orin knew the fight was far from over. The dead universe had awakened, and the war for survival had only just begun. The EOS drifted through the void, battered but alive. The fragments of the armada lay scattered behind them, silent and broken. Captain Orin Vale stood on the bridge, staring at the stars. For a moment, the black emptiness felt almost peaceful. "Almost." "Captain," Lena said, her voice tense, "the central warship, it's still pulsing. Not much, but it's alive. Somehow, it's repairing." Orin clenched his fists. "Then we don't wait. We finish this now. We go back to the heart and end it for good." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Every encounter with the armada had pushed them to the edge. They had seen what it could do: ships, people, entire systems transformed into cold, living machines. But Orin's resolve was clear. Humanity could not bow to a dead universe risen from its grave. Jalen checked the scanners. "We can't attack directly. The central ship adapts instantly. We need a distraction, something that will draw its attention long enough for the EOS to plant charges inside its core again." Orin nodded. "We'll lure it. I'll take the shuttle in, create chaos, and you plant the charges. Timing is everything." The plan was risky. One mistake would mean death. But the crew had no choice. The armada's pulse was growing stronger. Its influence over the scattered fleet was returning. The shuttle detached, engines roaring as it raced toward the massive central warship. Orin's heart pounded. Every shadow, every flicker of blue light along the hull, felt like eyes watching him. "Captain, you're entering the core perimeter," Jalen said through comms. "Be careful. The shadows are faster now." Orin's fingers tightened on the controls. "I don't have a choice. Just keep the charges ready." The shuttle dove into the heart of the armada. The corridors inside twisted impossibly, shifting as if alive. Shadows surged, responding to his presence, but Orin was relentless. He fired, dodged, and pushed deeper into the massive vessel. Meanwhile, the EOS lurked outside, cloaked and ready. Lena and the rest of the crew watched the screens, coordinating with Jalen to guide the charges to the core. "Almost there," Jalen said. "3 more corridors and we reach the central chamber." Inside the central warship, Orin felt a cold presence. The blue light pulsed faster, and a voice, distorted but unmistakable, echoed through the corridors. "Orin." It was Rhea. Her voice carried warmth and menace together. "You cannot stop us. You never understood what we were becoming." "I understand enough," Orin shouted back. "You're not Rhea anymore. You're the Armada, and I'm ending it." He reached the central chamber. The heart of the Armada loomed above him, a swirling sphere of blue energy, pulsing with life and intelligence. Shadows darted around, defending it fiercely. Orin planted the charges, hands shaking but precise. "Charges set," he said through comms. "Get ready, everyone." The central heart pulsed violently. The shadows surged forward, faster and stronger than ever. But the EOS fired a precise pulse from its reactor vent, creating a surge that disoriented the Armada's defenses just enough for Jalen and Lena to detonate the charges. A blinding explosion ripped through the vessel. The shadows screamed, then vanished. The blue light collapsed inward, the heart of the Armada shattering in a brilliant burst of energy. The shuttle rocked violently. Orin held on, watching the collapse. Outside, the scattered fleet of the Armada faltered, their pulse gone. The dead universe was silent again. For a moment, all was quiet. Orin exhaled, exhausted. It's over. But deep in the void, a faint flicker of blue remained, a whisper that carried through the dark. Somewhere, somehow, Rhea's consciousness lingered. Not fully alive, not fully machine, waiting for the next chance. The EOS emerged from the wreckage of the central warship, battered but intact. The crew gathered on the bridge, faces pale, bodies trembling. They had survived the impossible. They had struck back at a universe that had forgotten life, proving that even in the darkest void, humanity would not bow. Orin looked at the stars ahead. "We've won this battle," he said softly. "But the universe is vast. And there are always more shadows waiting." Lena placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we'll be ready. Together." Orin nodded. He knew the road ahead was long, and the dead universe might one day wake again. But humanity had faced it, and survived. For now, that was enough. The EOS set course for home, leaving behind the shattered armada, drifting silent among the stars, a warning and a reminder. The last armada of a dead universe had been challenged, and humanity had stood its ground. The EOS sailed through the quiet void, its hull scarred but holding together. The crew moved silently, exhaustion and relief heavy in the air. Outside, the remnants of the armada drifted, powerless fragments floating like forgotten memories among the stars. Captain Orin Vale stood on the bridge, staring into the darkness, trying to imagine what the universe would be like now that the shadow of the dead armada had been broken. "Captain," Lena said softly, "the scanners show no active vessels from the armada. It's finished. For now." Orin exhaled, but he knew better than to celebrate. The universe was vast, and even a broken armada could heal over time. Somewhere out there, fragments of what had once been Rhea lingered, memories and consciousness woven into the surviving ships. It was a warning that the fight might return. "We did what we had to," Orin said. "We saved billions. And we showed that life, even a small spark like ours, can resist extinction." Jalen, his cybernetic arm resting on the console, nodded. "The central ship is gone, its network shattered. The rest are drifting, dormant. But they won't remain that way forever. This victory is only temporary." Orin looked at his crew, each of them battered, scared, yet alive. They had faced impossible odds, walked through death and shadows, and survived. He realized that survival wasn't just about strength, it was about courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender, no matter how dark the universe seemed. "Set course for Earth," Orin ordered. "We need to warn humanity and prepare. They must understand what lies beyond the stars." The engines of the EOS hummed, cutting through the void. Stars glimmered in the distance, and for the first time in countless light years, the emptiness felt calm. But Orin kept a hand near his sidearm, eyes scanning the stars. The faint pulse of residual energy from the armada lingered, tiny and almost imperceptible. A soft voice came over the comms, Echo, the ship's AI. "Captain, I detect fragments of the armada's consciousness remaining within the outer debris. They are weak, but they are learning. It is likely only a matter of time before they attempt to rebuild." Orin nodded, accepting the truth. "Then we prepare. Humanity will not be caught off guard again. We'll stand watch. We'll be ready." Lena placed a hand on his shoulder, giving a small, reassuring smile. "We've survived worse, haven't we?" "Yes," Orin said. "And we'll survive what's next. We are the living, and the universe will remember that." The EOS moved forward, leaving the remnants of the dead armada behind. The stars stretched endlessly before them, alive with possibilities. In the distance, new worlds awaited discovery, civilizations that would never know the terror that had nearly consumed the galaxy. But in the shadows, deep in the void, something stirred. A faint shimmer of blue pulsed faintly among the wreckage, a whisper of life and memory intertwined with machine. Rhea's consciousness, or what remained of it, watched silently. Patient. Waiting. The armada might be defeated for now, but the universe had learned that it could awaken again. Orin knew this. The war was not over. But humanity had proven itself resilient, capable of standing against impossible odds. And as the EOS sailed toward the stars, the living universe stretched before them, full of danger, mystery, and hope. For now, the last armada of a dead universe had been challenged. And life had prevailed.